ערב טוב לכולם.
ערב טוב.
ערב טוב.
ראיתי את ההקלטה של שבוע שעבר כי פספסתי, אז נורא צחקתי, הבן שלך שם כיכב עם הארוחת ערב. היה מאוד נעים לראות את זה.
דבר ראשון הוא עושה ככה.
כן, כן. פתאום יש פרצופים לדיבורים.
כן, הוא בדיוק הגיע מהצבא, וישר אמרתי לו, בוא, הוא אומר לי, תעזבי אותי, זהו. וואי, מעט אנשים.
היי, אנחנו כבר על יוטיוב כדי שלא יהיו לי תקלות כמו בשבוע שעבר.
Hello.
היי, אנילה.
I'm sorry, I threw myself out of the meeting just before. You know, and it says it's recording and if you want to stay or to go, so I clicked on going. Sorry. Okay, hello. How is everybody? Yeah, Netta, how is your COVID situation? You need to open the microphone.
Okay. Eventually it was okay, but we were organizing an event and all the time we had to wait for the results. And then my son came a minute before I got in and told that he was very close to a patient.
Right, yeah.
Someone that had, well, so it.
Yeah, it will happen more and more, you know. I mean, this is the thing with so many people infected. But I know quite a few now at the moment who are infected, but nobody has kind of heavy symptoms, which is kind of good. It's a very good sign. Mm-hmm. So there are people who don't get vaccinated who try to get sick. You know, on purpose, they go and see people who have the COVID in order to get the certificate. I don't know how it is in Israel, because in Switzerland, if you are covered, you get the certificate also. Mm-hmm. So then they're trying to do that to get sick in order with this more mild COVID in order to get the certificate. Anyway, I don't want to say whether I find it good or bad. This is just how crazy the world is. Sorry for saying so. It's like, you know. Okay, so we will start with, hello, Ilil and Nitzan. It's so funny when you wave at the screen because you're not looking at me, because you're not looking at the camera, right? This is how it's really interesting to see how the mind works, isn't it? When you see me, now you can look at the screen again, Ilil. When you see me waving, your first instinct is to wave at the screen, even though intellectually we know that the camera is not in the TV screen or whatever screen, but this is how we do, how we kind of are blinded, or how we let ourselves be fooled by appearances and totally believe that this is happening. But I still see you from the side, so that's okay. So how about we just start with, you know, arriving, coming here, awareness, like always. What do you think? Or do you think it's a waste of time? You can do this by your own? Because as I say, you know, I keep repeating, this is a discussion group. It's not really a teaching session. So, you know, if you'd rather discuss things and think you're both, you know, sitting quietly and silently, I can do this by myself, then we can also skip it. Problem is there's more than one person here. So that's usually the people who answer the quickest, then that's what they get. So how about we discuss that?
We can discuss that. I personally, hello, first of all, good evening.
Hi.
I personally feel that in order to discuss more significantly, you know, setting the mind straight is a good thing. You know.
Okay, so that's Eduard's opinion. Anybody else has an opinion on this? Well, if you have no opinion, then we leave it at that one, and we do. And we do settle the mind to then have significant discussions. They don't have to be significant as long as they're friendly and, you know, kind of taking, how to say, flexible mind, trying to learn something, not just from what we say, but from what we hear. And I think what's really important is the sharing, because this is what I really like. What I really like, for example, is when we do Tara night. You know, it's from 6 o'clock in the evening until 6 o'clock in the morning. So there's usually an hour break in between, but it's night, it's cold, nobody can go anywhere. And you don't really feel like going for a walk either. So we have 1 hour, 3 times during that night, where we have really, really good, good is not a good word, but really discussions where we kind of connect with each other, where we come closer to each other. It's nighttime. The energy is very special, especially after midnight. And so I really appreciate doing these practices at night. 4 sessions with these hour breaks in between to get to know each other really well and to share in a really nice way. We did in Israel also at one point. Maybe Netta, did you participate in one? No, okay. It's very special. It's very special. The nicest thing about this, in the morning, you are so tired that your mind is not critical anymore. It has no more energy to, you go home or you see other people and they criticize you. The mind usually sees something and then it starts criticizing. So there's absolutely no energy for that. That's one thing. And the other thing is really interesting to see how, like, for example, in the 3rd session, you're so tired, you almost fall asleep. You had, like, the last night we did here, maybe a month ago. I was thinking, why am I doing this? You're crazy. Come on, you're old. It's like this, not for you anymore. I was so tired. I could hardly speak and I had to lead the sessions. And, but then all of a sudden, the whole energy is, boom, just like this is back without you doing anything at all, like anything special. It's really interesting to see, sometimes we're so tired and we think, oh, I cannot recover, I have to go to sleep. But it's not true. If you just allow it to be there, it can come back just like that. Yeah, so one can discover a lot of things in these Tara nights. And then in the morning you go home and you can, other people go to work maybe and you go to sleep, which is also very nice. Of course, we have sometimes we have people who work shifts, night shifts, like in Switzerland, we have a lot of nurses or doctors also in the group. So they say, no, thank you very much. I have enough night shifts. I don't want to do this. They have such a strong aversion towards the night shift, especially if you have sometimes night shift, then day shift and night shift and day shift. So it's very difficult for the organism to kind of get used to it. So then they're not very keen on doing this. But then they do, and then they say, well, no, it's different. It's kind of because you do it voluntarily. You don't have to do it. So like this. So maybe next time we do, then maybe I kind of stirred your interest in trying to find out what this is all about. Okay, but we start with, let's say 10 minutes, just awareness. I know most of you, so I know that you know how to meditate. So I don't have to go blah, blah, blah in these 10 minutes. Is that okay also? Because also for training awareness, it's okay if you're totally beginner. It's okay if somebody is guiding you, okay? But don't get into the habit of being guided, because then you can't meditate on your own. So you need to learn to bring the mind back, or to notice when the mind is not on whatever your object is, so that this muscle can develop. Yeah, because maybe you're different, but I discovered this with myself, because I quite like to have guided meditations also, and somebody else is guiding it. But when it was awareness, when it was a topic, it's fine, that somebody is guiding you so that you stay on the topic, that's okay. But if it's just awareness, and because sometimes I was going to the Vipassana group, which is just on the level below where I was living in Bern. And they do a lot of guiding, which I was kind of surprised a little bit. And then I found myself just sitting, relaxing when there was silence and waiting for the next instruction, then doing that, and then doing that while he was talking or she was talking, and then relaxing again and waiting for the next thing that the person was saying. And so this is what I discovered with myself. So you have to see how you react. But we do silent now, yeah, just 10 minutes. Of course, just to prepare yourself, first the body that needs to be relaxed, then, needs to be relaxed, or you notice that it's not relaxed, and then it will relax a bit more. Then also the straight back, of course. If you sit in an inspiring way, then the mind will also get inspired. If you sit kind of like this, then how can the mind be awake? And we want to wake the mind up. It's also only an awake mind who sees what is happening. So don't be too relaxed, okay? You need to be relaxed, but not too much. And as I just said, you know, being physically tired, yes, don't buy into it. You know, if you would have get a phone call now that you won, I don't know, 1 million shekel on the lottery or something, your tiredness would boom, be gone immediately. So just like that. So, you know, or that you get like 2 months paid holidays or something like that. Whatever would make you happy. Doesn't matter what it is. So don't label it, you know, I'm so tired. Just go tiredness. That's all. Don't make it too solid. And you can take the sensation of tiredness as your object of awareness, for example. I see Einat is yawning, so that's good. It's a sign of relaxing, actually, also, when we start to yawn. So first you check the body, then you check the mind, then you choose your object of awareness, either totally open, choiceless awareness, just notice what's going on. If you're not very well trained, then it's like a waterfall, so that doesn't work very well. Then anchor the mind on something, which the best thing is the body, can be the breath. If the breath is too subtle, take the body posture, like body is sitting. Okay, so then before we stop, it's really good to connect with that very deep wish that we have to be well, to be happy, to be free from suffering, and especially to be free from being under the control of our unhelpful emotions like jealousy, anger, depression, unreasonable fear, not just nervousness, frustration, stress. When the mind becomes very tight, if we could just throw it away, all of us would just throw it away. But then also to connect with the deep wish that we have, not just for ourselves, but when you think about family and friends, that you would like to be of benefit to them. So it's almost a need. When somebody is suffering a lot, deeply, heavily, and there's no way we can help them. It hurts, and we feel useless and powerless. And then we think, okay, so I have this wish to be free from being under the control of self-centeredness and other unhelpful attitudes. But how do I get there? How do I do that? Do I know how to do that by myself? Since I carry this deep wish with me all the time, if I would know how to do this by myself, I would have done it long ago. Because many of you are very familiar with Buddhism, because in Buddhism we think we've had beginningless lifetimes, not just 100, not just 1,000, not just 1,000,000, but billion and billion and trillions of trillions. Just think about this. Since beginningless time, our mind has no beginning. And after each death, it takes on another body, another rebirth. And we're still here. We're still under the control of these emotions. The wish alone is not enough, but is necessary. So now we think about our Buddhist practice, spiritual practice. And there's gratitude, there's joy, knowing that we have the methods. We have the instructions, we have the help from others who practice with us. So that's externally, but internally, really trusting our potential that we can live our values, that we all have, values of generosity, being helpful, being kind, being wise, being generous, compassionate. Knowing that we have the potential to be able to live them uninterruptedly, spontaneously, and effortlessly. So this is so important that we nourish that faith, that trust in our own natural goodness. To understand that our mind is not like a piece of coal. You cannot clean a piece of coal. It will always remain black. But our mind is like a diamond that is covered with dirt or wrapped in a dirty cloth or being locked into a very hard box, whatever example you want to have. So we have to open that box. We have to get rid of that, these rags, or polish the dirt. Why are we doing this? In order to fulfill the wish that we have to be a real benefit to other beings. At the moment, it's just our loved ones where it comes spontaneously. But also with the practice you have learned, you expand that. Why limit ourselves to just those few people that we are interested in? So I think we've had contact with these beings, with all the beings that we meet. It's never the first time that we met them. We have met them before. We have been friends, we have been enemies. Each one has been our mother, father, brother, sister, husband, wife. So then we think, we have this text by Shantideva, who gives us very clear instructions how to be able to clean that diamond, our Buddha nature, how to bring it to the surface so that we can finally live it. And when there's faith and trust and appreciation, then that's what we call taking refuge. When you do that, not just for yourself, but in order to guide all other beings to that state, the way we are guided now by the Dalai Lama or our gurus, other teachers, Minkyu Rinpoche, Tsogni Rinpoche, all these high lamas, Chada Rinpoche, who continuously give us teachings, guiding us, and not just guiding us, because what they say, anybody could read that from a book. It's not that. It's the inspiration that they give us, because they're living what they are saying. So we think, I want to become like them. A fully awakened being who manifests in a human form in order to inspire and guide all sentient beings to a state which is free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Okay, thank you. So it's quite good or quite helpful, when we talk about neuroscience, which I just repeat what I read and hear from neuroscience. I don't know if it's true, but so I'm a bit biased, I have to say. When it kind of accords with what Buddhism says, I think, wow, this is great. When it says completely the opposite, then I don't accept it so well. So to be honest, I'm a little bit like this because I'm definitely not an expert. I'm just repeating what I read. So it's in order to, these aspirations that we have to attain full awakening and for the sake of sentient being. I don't know if it's helpful for you what I said, first to see the need that we have, not a negative need when I say need. By the way, sometimes I use words, and just again the other day we were with friends, and I said to Jean-Luc, I said, well, you're very emotional, and he took it as if this is a criticism. I really love Jean-Luc because he's living his emotions in a very good way. Like he's not suppressing anything. He's very compassionate. He's very sensitive. But when we say, oh, you're so emotional, usually it sounds like criticism, or people take it like criticism. Yeah, so in case I use words that you think are, that I'm criticizing you, then please clarify, because it doesn't have to be necessarily like that. So when we have these aspirations, as I said, if we feel that need, or maybe need is not the right word. When somebody is very close to you and you love somebody very much, okay, it's attached love. I don't deny that. But the wish to help, how would you call that? I call it a need almost, but maybe it's the wrong word, because then you go like, oh, it's a needy wanting to help others. That's not what I mean. How would you call that?
Instinct.
Instinct.
Okay. Anybody else? Instinct's not enough. Sorry for me. Instinct is not enough for me.
Strong habit.
Huh? Strong habit. Okay.
Because we learn it's very important. It's part of our culture, of our culture as well.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah, thank you, Nitsan. I like that. It's like, you know, when we want to benefit others, we're not necessarily doing it out of bodhicitta, but we learn it in our culture. So we think we are practicing bodhicitta, but not really, because we're not doing it consciously. Also, or when we abstain from negative actions, we come to that next week, because next few verses then are on karma. When we abstain from negative actions, not because we're thinking about the future results, like far away, where we can't see it, but just because we learned it. So again, the motivation is not so deep, strong drive. Okay. So, but what about we keep need? Or are you, you know, the need to be benefit to others? You don't like that one, I see. You're not enthusiastic about that. Find your own word. This is also very, very important, because it's important in your spiritual practice to get to know yourself, so that you don't have to express it to others, but you can express to yourself what you're feeling. Yeah, if you would have to, you know, it can be like, you remember sometimes we did when after we did the awareness meditation, then I would ask you, how do you feel? And I would ask you to say it, or to put a color or a picture or a name or a word, so that we look quite deeply. So for me, it's a need. Okay. But if I can't fulfill it, then it's okay also. I'm not suffering. So maybe that's why you don't like the word need. Okay. So strong, what was it? Sigal was saying strong longing. Okay, longing is good, yeah, also. It hurts, right? An instinct doesn't hurt. A need a need hurts. A need gives me energy to do something also, because it hurts. Okay, so and for those maybe who are new, like Sarel, Dina, I don't know who that person is, but it's okay. All of you are very welcome. So please, you know, don't feel rejected when I say I don't know who you are. So it's okay.
Oh, Dina is Dina.
Ah, Dina is Dina. Okay, now I know you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, okay, so it's good to really know kind of what's going on. And at any point you can open up your microphone and you can say, I'm not happy with what you're saying, or clarify because you haven't understood, or saying, yeah, this is really great. You can also do, you know, we can also just say that we agree with each other. So then, yeah, start clear, because it is a discussion group. It is not a teaching group, although sometimes I feel a bit like this. Last time we were, we're in the chapter 7, which is about enthusiasm. And at the beginning of this chapter, he was kind of describing what is hindering that we don't have enthusiasm for this attaining of liberation from being under the control of our negative emotions, which were our just normal laziness, because we need effort to do that, or not being afraid of dying, like not being afraid that this life will finish. It's when I say not being afraid of dying, I'm not talking about being afraid of death itself, but being afraid that this life finishes and we don't know where we're going to end up. And then the other one was very attached to kind of ordinary pleasures, like nice sounds, smells, touch, tastes, like even thoughts, or even something that we call culture, which seems to be very high and very important, and all these kinds of things, like, and then not having time to do anything else, but also having a normal life, and that we have to go out and earn money, look after our kids and partners, and so on. So, and it's good that you do that also. And then I think he was talking about the benefit of bodhicitta, that when we develop bodhicitta, even though, we haven't developed it completely, totally, but we go from joy to joy. Do you remember the verse where it says, if you know that you're riding on the horse of bodhicitta, how can you ever be depressed? And now he's talking about the 4 powers to keep our enthusiasm Do you remember those 4 powers? Maybe I can show them to you. I think it starts with verse 31. Yeah, here we go. Would you have remembered them by yourself? Oh, just be honest, it's okay. Aspiration, meaning aspiration, we know where we want to go, and we want it very strongly, yeah, not just, oh, it would be so nice to be a Buddha. Oh, yeah. How about if I were a Buddha? Not like this, you know. So this is why, again, I go, the need to be able to be of benefit to others, or let's say, the need to know how to be of benefit to others, because sometimes we're totally at loss. You know, we come with our own ideas, but we can't look into the person's mind, and then we can just do whatever we think is best, and very often is nothing is working. So it's aspiration, knowing that if I want to be of benefit to others, if I want to kind of fulfill this strong instinct or habit, as Nitzan was saying, or what longing, then, you know, the only way is that I have to be omniscient. I have to be able to see the person's capacities. What can they take? Because otherwise I might try to help them, and instead of helping, I'm hurting them. So it's aspiration. I have to become a Buddha. Why? Because I have this wish to help others. Then it's going to last a long time, which, you know, he's kind of, in the verses to come, he's kind of encouraging himself. Already now, he's preparing himself by knowing it will last a long time. You know, there's verses where it says, for eons to come. I might have to strive until an ocean of eons is exhausted. So we have to brace ourselves to know that this is difficult. It will last a long time. Maybe not, you know. Maybe you have so much merit that you are like Kondinya. Totally diverting again here. You are like Kondinya. If you are familiar with the first sutra that the Buddha gave, you know, when he gave the Four Noble Truths, and he talked about all this. And then at the end of just this 1.5 page teaching, Kaundinya had attained liberation because he had understood. Why? Because he was more intelligent than others? What do you think? Why do you think that only one in this of these 4 that were listening to him? Because there's only not 5, sorry. There were only 5 listening to him.
Because he practiced, maybe.
Because he had practice in his past life, and he had the merit, and he had the, you know, he had enough, learned already enough that it just needed a little push, and then he understood. Yeah. So this is why also when Gautam attained enlightenment and he didn't want to teach, then Brahma and Indra came to ask him to teach for those who have but little dust on their eyes. This is Kaundinya. And that's the name of the one who understood. Oh, no, it's not true. But little dust in your eyes, Vimalo. Yeah, so there are people who are very advanced, and all they need is a little push, you know, to kind of push through. There's very nice also Dzogchen teachings, which they talk about eggshell, you know, and we are kind of our Buddha nature, eggshells are very strong. You know, you try to break them like this, you cannot, even if they're not cooked. I don't know if you've ever tried to break an egg like this, but you kind of just let, you know, you go on the side, poof, it breaks. So this is it. We don't know. I don't know, you know, they always prepare us for that. It will last a long time, but we might have practiced a long time before. So for you, for one of you, or for many of you personally, will not last that long anymore. This is for us to kind of check. And I know that for me, it will last still a long time. And I'm prepared. I'm prepared because I think, you know, that I have no choice. If I want to live these values that I have spontaneously, effortlessly, then I have to do the practice and I have to get rid of my, you know, I have to break that eggshell here. So Okay, so we had arrived, I think, at this one, yeah? Likewise, I shall have to realize many excellent qualities for myself and others. And in order to attain each of these qualities alone, I may have to acquaint myself with its causes until an ocean of eons is exhausted. So he talks about developing qualities or having merits, having enough positive energy that we make progress on this path. And then he continues by scolding himself again by saying, oh, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. So verse, the homework was nurturing your potential, realizing how fortunate we are. Not just realizing how fortunate we are that we have the potential, but also realizing how fortunate we are, we have the conditions to develop or to discover that potential. And we don't know how long these conditions last. I don't like to ask this question anymore, but I still have to. Did anybody do that? Getting up in the morning and thinking, wow, I'm so fortunate. May I use these conditions that I have to develop my mind today? May I take each opportunity that comes to see emptiness, to practice compassion, to practice equanimity, to practice patience, if we can practice so many things. We have so many opportunities to practice the Dharma. And again, yesterday, I sat with somebody who his father is in the process of dying, but he lives quite far away, and he's part of the group. So they take turns, his brother and him. So he was away for 3 weeks, and he said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have many occasions to practice. I said, come on, you are looking after your sick father or your dying father. You give up everything that you want to do, which you find pleasure in, because on top of it, he doesn't really love to do it, but he does it. And he does it in a very, very kind way. He's a very kind person. I don't think he has the capacity of being unkind. And then he says, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have the last 3 weeks. I didn't have much time to practice Dharma. So he was thinking about sitting or participating in the Zoom that he usually does here with the French group and all this. So sometimes I feel very sad when people say these things, thinking that the only way you can practice is like on your cushion. Yeah. So like this. So we have so many opportunities during the day to practice when we're out there. And then, taking about, again, neuroscience, then to know that we've been practicing generosity with bodhicitta, not just giving something like this and then, continuing with your life, so that these connections between the neurons that they can wire, so that the mind really transforms and develops. Because otherwise it becomes a bit like Nitzan was saying, habit. We learn it. It's in our culture. Then with this, we will not attain full awakening. We will have very good karma. We will have very good lives, but it will not lead us to full awakening and liberation. Yeah, to consciously, not consciously in a way, kind of going, oh, I'm so great, I'm so fantastic, I'm so wonderful. Not like this, but to really be happy about your Dharma practice in so-called daily activities is so important, because we need positive energy. When you know that, I don't know now. Oh, when you want to go to India, you need a visa, right? And sometimes, you want a long visa. Okay, forget about COVID, like 2-3 years ago, okay? So 3 years ago, and you want to go and study in India, so you need a long visa. So that without this long visa, there's no way you can study more than a month or something, or so you want a 5-year visa or something like this. So you need it, and when you get it, you're very happy that you have it. You don't have the studies yet, but you have created the conditions to be able to study. So this is merit, okay, or positive potential. And here now Shantideva is telling us how to develop it, and he is scolding himself for not doing it. Yeah, now again, you know, when we look at these verses, you have to have a lot of self-confidence. We're not bad people. We are a little bit generous. We are a little bit compassionate. We are a little bit this, but we're not, we could do better. Or does anybody think that you're perfect already in generosity, patience, ethical conduct? Yeah.
I think you are exaggerating.
Okay, if Dina, if you think that I'm exaggerating, then that's fine.
No, I mean, we don't think we are perfect.
Yeah, this is why I'm saying. This is why I want
No, you said, does anybody think you are perfect? I said,
Okay.
I think you are exaggerating because we don't think we are perfect.
Okay, so this is what I meant. We could always do better. Now, the big question is, are we happy with not being perfect? That's the question.
But this is my practice, I think.
Okay, are we happy with not being perfect, or do we want to be better?
I don't see contradiction between the two. I think you can be okay with what you are now and want to do better.
Okay, so that's good that you don't see a contradiction, because many people, especially the ones who don't really practice, they say, oh, but you know, why should I do this? Why should I go to church? Or why should I go to the synagogue? Or why should I have some religious or spiritual practice? Because look, I'm fine. I'm okay. You know, there is actually, whereas Elisheva is here, you know, Elisheva, when you said, why are not more people practicing this? There is an incredible amount of people in this planet who are quite happy living with their delusions and with their anger and with their jealousy and with their depression, not so much. Depression, people want to do something about it. But the jealousy maybe also. But anger and aggression, there's a lot of people who are quite happy with this. Yes?
Anila,
yeah?
The reason I asked this question wasn't just of being suffering or get free. It's just, you know, I don't understand people like to go to the canyon, mall.
Yeah.
To shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't get any interested in those things.
Yeah.
This is amazing for me.
Okay. Yeah.
How come you are not interested? You know, you don't need to be a Buddhist. No, but yeah, I'm still amazing, and especially now in the COVID time, 2 years, like I'm looking on people and I'm shocked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think, can I say something?
Yeah.
I think instead of being shocked, it's better to say that how fortunate I am that the cause and condition came so I can practice.
Yeah.
And I will pray for the others that they will have the same.
Mm-hmm. Just one more thing. The good thing, I feel that the good thing is that everything I heard about in Buddhism and try on myself now, in the last 2 years, you know, I see the fear in the eyes of the people. A lady shouted at me 2 days ago, why do you were vaccinated just twice? Why not 4? And, you know, with the hatred. And I'm looking at her and I said to myself, this is it. It's so, now it's חומרים משתקף או תעזרו לי באנגלית.
Reflect.
Yeah, all the anger and the hatred and the fear now is so on the surface.
Yeah,
right. I look and I see, like, if you just look at it, you have process in yourself. Something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what I meant, Dina. You know, nobody thinks that they're perfect, but seeing that we're not perfect, there's very little interest in making progress. This is what I'm saying. So, and what you said also to Elisheva, yeah, you should be happy that you know, that you have this interest. That's absolutely true. But then, you know, the big question is like, as Shantide was saying, are we having enough interest? Yeah, can we can we increase that interest? Because now he's saying, but I have never developed acquaintance with even a fraction of these excellences. Now we can say that he is exaggerating a bit, you know. So you are here, you're listening to me almost every Wednesday, which is like, it's really fantastic. And I'm sure that you also, I'm sure with Eddie Sheva and Edouard and Neta and also Nitan and the others, you are also listening to other teachings, and you are trying to put this into, to kind of put it into practice. So if you're strong enough, you know, to talk to yourself like this, I'd say, hey, come on, I'm not doing enough, do more, and then that's good, you know. But you need to do this with a lot of self-confidence. Yeah. And it's not, yeah, and it's not true. I just finished this. It's not true that this birth is found by some coincidence. It's just that it's very rare, right? So sometimes I wonder a bit about the translations also. And we must have created excellences. We must have a lot of merit, because for us Westerners, it is very difficult to meet Buddhism. You know, we're not born in a Buddhist family. Like if you would have been born in Thailand or Cambodia or Taiwan or Tibet or like this. Yes, Neta.
I want to make sure that I understood, because you can make some good action or benefit, or to give money to a poor people or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're happy with that, but you need something extra, like to acknowledge that you are doing it, so it will be,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
the same,
right.
Like in the future. So you have to acknowledge. It's not enough that you help people, or you have to have this acknowledgement, recognition that this is what you are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With bodhicitta, like, you know, when you give something to a beggar that you think like, you know, one day may I give you dharma, and then actually you turn the whole thing around. So the beggar needing something becomes the cause for you to attain enlightenment. You know, they also say, when you look at the 6 perfections, which is generosity, ethical conduct, patience, and enthusiasm, did I forget something? Enthusiasm, concentration, and wisdom. They say it only becomes a perfection, because these are the actions of a Bodhisattva, or the training of a Bodhisattva. It only becomes a perfection when all 6 are present. Like, for example, when you give, right? So giving, of course, you give. Then the second one is ethical conduct. You give something that belongs to you. You're not going to take something from somebody else, stealing something to give to somebody else. Yeah. Also, you give something, you know, kind of ethical in a way, like it wouldn't be very helpful to give a terrorist instructions how to build a bomb or something like that. You know, when you know that they're going to create a lot of damage with this. You have to think what you give also. Or also, the Theravadian monks, they're very strict on their vows of not eating afternoon and evening, which the Tibetans are not so much. I don't want to say we don't have this vow, but they kind of bend it quite a bit. Me also. So it would, but the Theravadian monks are very strict on that one. So it would not be generosity knowing that they don't eat afternoon and evening and inviting them for a meal. That would almost go into something unethical. Even though you have, you know, very good intention, that, oh, poor thing, he's really hungry. You can do that with the Tibetan, because they think having a healthy body is more important than keeping vows when it would make you sick. Whereas the Theravadians are very, very strict. I don't know if it's still like this today, but I know 30 years ago, they would eat rotten food, even if they would get food poisoning because it was offered to them. That strictness, you know. Now, it's not for us to judge whether it's good or bad, okay? I'm just telling you that's how they do. And I admire them for that. They have a lot of discipline. You know, they're very, very strong-minded when it comes to neglecting the body, which I'm not. I don't have that
Excuse me,
strength.
can you
have
please,
that strength. Yes.
excuse me, can you please tell me a bit slowly the six, how do you say?
Perfections. Yeah, okay. So it's the first one is generosity, giving.
Yeah.
The next one is ethical conduct.
What is it? This I
Ethical
don't understand.
morality. It's not a nice word. People don't like the word, so I changed it into
ethical
ethical conduct. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then patience, not to harm back when you are harmed.
Patience.
Then enthusiasm, which that's what we're doing now. Then concentration. Then wisdom, the wisdom to understand emptiness. Okay.
Patience. Okay.
So this is, you know, the text that we're studying, this is helping us to practice these 6 perfections. And we are with the 4th one, which is enthusiasm or joyful effort. Sometimes it's called diligence, can also be called. So coming back to generosity, when you give something, so you give something with in an ethical way, right? Not something that is stolen. You give it with patience, not wanting any, if nothing comes back, you know, they don't say thank you, or they throw it away because they don't like it or whatever, then you don't get angry. You give it with enthusiasm, you keep giving again and again and again and again, and you do it with, you know, concentration, kind of, you're aware of what you're doing, and then with wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness, knowing that you, the thing that you are giving, and the receiver, all 3 are empty of any inherent existence. They seem to exist separately from each other. And with these 3 things, with like the giver, the gift, and the one who is receiving, we can really see the dependence. Without the giver and the receiver, there is no gift. It's just an object, right? Without gift, there can be no receiver and no giver. Without giver, there is no gift and there's no receiver. Without receiver, there is no, without giver, there will be no receiver and no gift. Okay, so this is how these 3 circles, they call it the 3 spheres or the 3 circles. And when we, especially when we give and we remember, it's merely labeled, I, the gift, the other one totally empty of inherent existence, then it becomes the perfection of generosity. When
sorry,
these
empty of what? Empty of what?
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, Dori, this we cannot go into that.
Okay.
I can say it in Hebrew. Rekim mikiyum atzmi.
Okay, תודה.
Okay, not existing from its own side, but it's a huge topic. And if you want to know about this, then it's good to listen Sunday evenings to Geshema, where
I will say something very shortly.
Okay.
In Dharma Friend website, we have everything. There is a big web there that you have everything from all the year. It's record, it's writing, reading things, so books, everything in Hebrew, in English, alphabet, dictionary, whatever you need, whatever you want. And if you still have questions, so you can write for us and we will try to help.
But emptiness is really is a big topic, and this is the key, you know, understand. It's basically understanding reality. We don't understand reality the way it is. Our mind projects. It projects something that is really existing out there, and then we put good, bad, not interesting, and then we create, and out of that we have our negative emotions. This I want, you know, and it's good for me. Only short term. We don't even look long term. It's short term. It's good for me. It's not good for me. I don't want. Again, we don't look long term, you know, and not interesting. This is neither short term nor long term. And then our mind is deluded. Our mind is not clear when these things are present. So this is the whole kind of Dharma. And when we understand emptiness, not just intellectually, but like instinctively, then we are liberated. And this is what we're working for. Now, it's not just to become a good person. It's about understanding that we are not what we think we are. And this is like, you know, the Buddha gave 84,000 teachings on this. So there's a lot to learn, as Dalit was saying, almost too much. And go slowly, Dorit, you know, whatever you understand, fine. The rest, otherwise you get all tense. Yeah. The rest is like you say, okay, it's fine, you know, and then it's slowly, and Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche says it very nicely. Buddhism is like an onion, you know, so the first, when you peel it, the first level, and then there's another level, then the next, and you always think, now I'm going to find the onion, and what you're left with is nothing, and this is it. So, but it's a very full nothing that you will find when you come to emptiness. Okay, so we go back to the text maybe here. So he's saying, I never developed acquaintance, kind of, we could say maybe, I never developed enough acquaintance, because we could do better, we could do more, but also don't do too much, yeah? With even a fraction of these excellences, how strange it is to squander this birth I have found by some coincidence. So he said, I don't want to continue to waste my life. Now, this is how we create a lot of merit to attain full awakening. I have not made offerings to the Lord Buddhas. I have not given the pleasure of great festivals. I have not performed actions for the teachings. I have not fulfilled the wishes of the poor. I have not granted fearlessness to the frightened, and I have not given happiness to the weak. All I have given rise to is the agonies in the mother's womb and to suffering. What do you think? You know, my life, all that it made is to, you know, to give pain to my mom when I was born. That's the only thing that happened. Wow. So actually it's, you know, it sounds quite drastic, but it's quite a good question to ask ourselves. Was it worth, is my life, was it worthwhile that my mom had all these pains and suffering giving birth to me? What do you think?
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Answer. It's not answering. It's raising another.
It doesn't have to be an answer. It can be anything.
But I think that anything that is come very easy is not really well appreciated. And also in Judaism, it says that that birth will be a very painful process.
Experience. Yeah.
So in Buddhism, you see it from the side of the child born. In Judaism, you see it from the side of the women, the women that give birth. But anyway, it's a process, and I don't think there are many women that reject or doesn't like the children because they were suffered. It happens. I know it happens, but in general, it's not a normal way.
Yeah, of course it's not the normal way, but still, I mean, if you want children, then there's birth. If we want to be reborn, then there's birth. There's nothing we can do. But it's good to ask ourselves sometimes, you know, is it whether the mother rejects us or loves us? It's not really the question here, but to ask yourself, was it worthwhile my life that I'm living now, that my mom had all these pains? You know, when we experience pain, like for example, I used to do rock climbing, okay? Rock climbing is very painful, but it was worthwhile. Why? Because I had pleasure. So of course your mother would say, yes, of course, because I love you and I love to have children. But it's not about the mother, it's about you asking that, you asking yourself. Or that he says, you know, all I did in my life is like I gave my mother pain. So again, you know, he's very drastic, Shantideva. He's very explicit here. Now let's see how we can create some merit so that
Can I say another thing?
Yeah.
Sometimes the pain a child can give his parents or his mother, birth is the minimum pain. He can give pain in many other ways.
Yeah. But it's all true what you're saying, Einat, but it's not really the question here, you know?
Yeah, but why is he dealing about the pain that the child caused to his mother? I don't understand it.
Well, you can also ask yourself, you know, because a mother's love is very, very deep. Okay. So, I mean, when we are happy with our life, it's like when we do a good thing or we have a lot of happiness or pleasure even, you know, it's, I am having pleasure, like sound, smell, taste, touches. We go like, wow, my pleasure, I'm having pleasure. We forget about our mother that gave us this body, and the dad also, but it's usually the mothers, for example. You know, this thing here, that this we call body is not mine. If there wouldn't have been a mother, I wouldn't have a body. Yeah, this is why the mother is so important. And the mother is the one who can choose whether she wants you or not. You know, she can abort. Yeah. And the mother's love also is very, very deep. So he kind of, you know, it's a bit sarcastic what he's saying also to himself, right? You know, it's really interesting to see how some people are really kind of touched by something and other people are just go it. So this is why it's important to discuss. So I'm very happy that you said what you wanted to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, Netta?
We talked about enthusiasm and acknowledging and the things, the merit or the things we do, but he's now exploding himself in a way, like.
Yeah, definitely. That's I warned you for these verses, Netta.
Why it's not?
Because it helps him. It helps him to keep going. It really helps him to put steam under his bum. He's talking to himself. And you remember, Netta, it's difficult to understand you there. There's a lot of, are you wearing, yeah.
Earphones, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I did tell you at the beginning, if you don't find these verses helpful, then just leave them aside and that's it, you know. Now, if you're asking me, why is he doing this? I don't know, Shantideva. But I see with myself sometimes also, I have to say to myself, come on, you can do better than this, right? So, and he has a lot of self-confidence. You see, he is 100% sure that he has Buddha nature, and he has this compassion for all mother sentient beings. So he says, why are you lingering? Why are you just, you know, doing stupid things that don't help anybody or anywhere? Come on, get going. This is why he's doing that. If you don't find it helpful, I guess, because you're asking that question.
I think it is helpful.
Now, again, no, wait, before you answer, and then I close the text. Now, again, if you are a therapist, please don't think about your patient, okay? Think about yourself. Could you talk to yourself like this? Because, you know, very often people complain, I don't make progress, and I still have so many delusions. Would you find this helpful to really go against your delusions? Because you remember, I think it was in chapter 4 or 5, where he says, come on, going against your negative emotions will be painful. And we're afraid of that pain. We're afraid of going against our self-cherishing. We don't even want to look. Yeah. So don't think about others that you want to tell this to, that they have more enthusiasm. Kind of look at yourself. What do these verses do to you? Do they make you feel bad? If yes, why?
Can I say something?
Of course. Everybody.
I agree with Shantideva. I think it's very true. You have to look at yourself. You have to see what you're doing, what you are able to do more than you're doing all the time. Because all I'm doing is not enough. I can do better, and I want to do better. So
exactly. So he uses these words not to feel bad, but to remember again and again and again and again. I can do better. I can do better. I can do more, I can do better, until the words become the actions spontaneously. Okay? But again, if you don't find it helpful, this is why there's so many different methods. You know, it's like Buddhism is like a chemist shop, and you go in there without any instructions. So the Buddha is the chemist. So he says, this is for this, and this is for this, and this is for this. Now, this chapter is to create enthusiasm. And then what are we doing here? Why are we disturbed? Because we forget, right? Because we forget the verses that came before, where he talks about Buddha nature and Buddha potential. You see, we very often, we see only short term, and we forget the whole picture. We see one verse, and we forget the verses that came before, when he says, if you're riding on the horse of bodhicitta, you go from joy to joy. How can you be depressed? Okay?
Yes, okay, it's the bigger picture is more clear, but it sounds like self-criticism and putting yourself down, which usually if you're that strong, it's very harmful, and then it's not something that benefits for your enthusiasm. It does the opposite.
This is what I am saying. It is we have to take these teachings in a very, very individual way. If we don't find it helpful, if it puts you down, this is why you need awareness. This is why I'm asking you every time when we kind of, I lead reflections on, I don't know, refuge or kindness or precious human rebirth. I'm asking you, what does it do to your mind state? Now, if you don't look, then you will never know whether this is good for you or not. And if it's not good for you at one point, it doesn't mean that it's not good for you at another point. This is why we need a lot of self-reflections if we want to put these things into practice. And then when you're really down and really depressed, and then you go, yeah, I never do anything good, and I didn't do enough. Here again, I didn't do that. That's not the right moment to think about these verses. When you have time and you feel okay, but you feel like, oh no, I'd rather go to the beach than to sit down and meditate now. That's the time to tell you these things. That's the moment. So you have to find out which moment you have to bring them in. But we also rejoice when we do something. So here, for example, I want to go into this here. I have not made offerings to the Lord Buddhas. I have not given the pleasure of great festivals. This is at the time of monasteries. So, because I think he was also, he came from quite a rich family. So he could have sponsored the food for the monks, but he didn't, maybe, I don't know, So this is, it's all about, giving pleasure of great festivals. He's not talking about music festivals. He's talking about, for example, there was at the beginning when Lama Yeshe was still around, there was this event which was called Dharma Celebration. I tell you, it was amazing. Today, it couldn't be done anymore. It was done either in Bodh or at Tushita in India, where you had all the High Lamas lining up to give teachings and initiations for 2 months. Yeah. So somebody had to sponsor that, right? Somebody had to pay for these people to come and to, for a place to stay and all these kind of things. And if you're sponsoring a thing like this, then it creates a lot of merit. So he's probably, I have to say probably, he's probably saying to himself, I could have done that, I didn't do it. Now, offerings to the Buddhas. How many, no, I don't want to, you don't have to raise your hand. You have to ask yourselves, am I, why are offerings to the Buddha so beneficial? Are you aware that you could make offerings to the Buddhas? Are you doing it? I'm talking about a personal altar that you fill the water bowls every day. With the visualization, when you pour the water in these 7 bowls, I am offering to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Then your mind already becomes very big. Yeah? Wow. I'm offering to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas water for drinking, water for washing, flowers, incense, light, perfume, light, and food and music in the form of water. But you visualize that you're offering these things. This is a very, very, very powerful practice. It is very simple. Everybody has water. And if you do this, you know, again, we go like, oh, you're married and what's happening? I can't feel anything. I tell you, really, if you do this daily, you have to try it out. Something changes. When I came here, I only had like, maybe I can show you afterwards with the camera. I only have, because I'm not living in my own place and all this, so there is this, you know, there's this kind of cupboard-like thing, and there's 2 angels on it, on top of it, and 2 lamps. So first I only put, I have very small statues and tattas, I only put that and no offerings. And it felt so strange. And then I started to kind of take out my little bowls, and then I do them, and it's a really powerful practice. And when you do that, you do this with bodhicitta, because you know the Buddha is not there to drink this water or whatever. Yeah, but you have to try it out whether that would help you. How many of you have helped making an altar when you were doing things for Dharma friends? Okay, Dalit, do you find it a joyful experience, or is it like, oh no? You have to open your microphone. Huh?
Of course, joyful.
Yeah, but again, you know, it's not coming from out there from the Buddhas. You have to have enough faith and trust that you start doing it, that you take the time and the effort to do it. Now, of course, if you are in a Jewish household and already your whole family is against you practicing Buddhism, and you do it in order to make them upset, then it's not creating any merit. It depends on your motivation. Yeah, but offerings to the Buddhas is very, very powerful. This is why Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he wants to put so many statues everywhere and things. But I understand with the statues, especially in Israel, big problem. Yeah, then on top of it, bowing to the statues, even bigger problem. Because of culture and what you learned, and shouldn't bow, don't make an image. But don't forget, the Buddha is not God. The Buddha is not an omnipotent person. The Buddha hasn't said, don't make any statues of me. You know, so that's that. So you have to find this out. It's, you know, I was before today, I was wondering, should I just maybe brush over it because I know they don't like these kind of things, or should I mention it?
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I was for a long time very reluctant to do it. Mm-hmm. Also, I guess because I grew up in a religious family, right. I said, okay, I didn't see the point. But in one of your teachings, I think you opened my eyes, because you said, by doing these actions, I remember what I need to do, you know, that I have to be open and I have to be very attentive all day long. So every day it reminds me why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now I do it more, you know, with the will and not the reluctance.
Yeah. Again, you know, it totally depends on your motivation. That's one thing. But if you do this with bodhicitta and you think, wow, you know, and the trust, you know, here we go. How much do we trust the Buddha's teachings? I mean, in all the temples, in all the Buddhist temples, you cannot find one temple where there's no offerings to the Buddha. If it would be so useless, why would it be like that? You know, also in churches, they offer light. In synagogues, I don't know, I guess you also offer light. Yeah, you're not offering fruit, no? You don't burn candles in synagogue?
No, if you light candles, it's for a reason, like to remember the deaths.
Okay, well, here also
memorial deaths.
for a
But
reason.
in
you know,
Judaism, no. But when the temple, you know, exists, then they used to do offering, because we have special holiday when we take the fruits, the first fruit from the garden, and take it to the holy temple. And also they had made sacrifice, you know, of lambs.
Yeah,
they used to do it, but they did it for God.
Right. So it's fine. It's okay, you know, for something that you find that you want to imitate, like you want to also become,
But
maybe.
What I'm saying is, I think I do it for myself. I'm not doing it for the Buddha. I'm doing it for myself because I understand the power of the teaching of the Buddha and the benefit for me.
Yeah, so then you still, you know, I'm not, also, you know, the Buddhists don't need these 7 bowls of water, that's for sure. And also the cookies and the chocolate that is there and the fruit, sometimes it's kind of, you know, I either give it away or eat it myself. So it's, as you say, but it's like, also it has a lot of significance, like these 7 or 8 offerings. One thing is you offer water with the idea that you're offering, you know, when you make bread and your dough is not wet enough, it's very hard and it's very difficult to work it. So this is our mind. Our mind is very stiff and is very hard. Our habits make our mind very, very stiff. So you add water so that the dough of our mind becomes more easy to manage, you know, becomes more easy to form. Yeah, so that's one thing. So you have water for drinking, water for washing. Also, water is very, excuse me, without water we die. Yeah, so don't think it's like thing. Then flowers. So you offer flowers. It will give you a very, you know, it creates the cause to give you a very beautiful body. Not to kind of win a beauty contest, but it will be easier to people to relate to you when you have a natural beauty, which is true. We are very attracted to beautiful people, much more than to ugly people. Ugly people first have to prove that they have a kind heart, like E.T. and the Elephant Man and all this, you know. We see it in the movies and it's happening in daily life also. Whether we want or not, this is it. We are attracted by what is, you know, beauty. Again, it's like culture. So you have a beautiful body, so it will be easier to inspire people. Then flowers, incense. Incense, it purifies the air. So it kind of causes that our negative karma gets purified. We don't kind of, you know, we don't have the bad smell of negative actions. You know, sometimes really when somebody is telling a big lie, we say it stinks, you know, unethical, I think it stinks. Then what do we have? Then we have argan, padium, dupe, alog. Then we have light. So that, of course, is to dispel the ignorance in our mind. Offering light creates the cause to dispel ignorance in our mind. Then we have perfume, that again is the stink of, to dispel the stink or the bad smell of unethical conduct. And then we have food. Food creates the cause for you to have a healthy body. If we offer food to the Buddha, because we want to, it's much easier to practice with a healthy body than with the sick body. And music we offer because it creates the cause to have a voice that is easy to listen to. So what we know, and people will listen to you when you say something. Some people have incredible, I mean, for me, again, it's very personal. Like Leonard Cohen, for example. For me, he has a voice. I could listen to that voice like for hours and hours and hours, and I get goosebumps listening to him. You know, he really touches me, his voice. So, and not, Dina is nodding also, not just me. Jacques Brel was more his words, right? But like also his voice, but definitely his words. I mean, his words were so powerful, especially the wishes for the new year. I'm sure you know it, Edouard. you know, that he wishes his health and kindness and all this. It's really beautiful. So, so a bit like this. So these are these water bowls that you see sometimes on the altar of a Tibetan Buddhist monastery. And as I said, I was wondering whether I should go into that or whether I thought, but I thought, yeah, maybe somebody is inspired by this. I know that Nitzan is doing, you know, we were doing puja there at your house also. And it really, it just reminds you of your practice. Hi, Nitzan, huh?
I'm inspired today. Thank you.
Okay. So it's like, you know, try it out maybe. You know, at the beginning, I had no idea how to do this. I had a small Buddha statue that I bought and I was still traveling. And so every morning I had one bowl only. So every morning I would kind of get up and I had a tent, you know, I was trekking and I was in the tent. So I would put the Buddha statue on the backpack and fill that bowl with water and put it there. It was not correct and all this because it's a whole science how you do these things, which makes you very aware and very careful. So it's, and I did it with a lot of enthusiasm and with a lot of joy. And then slowly, I learned how to do an altar. And for me, it feels good. Maybe for you, it doesn't, but you will only know whether it feels good or not if you try it out. And if you're a total beginner, I wouldn't suggest you to do that. This is for when you are really, you think, this is my path. I trust the Buddha's teachings. I want to attain enlightenment. I want to gather all the positive energy that I need, that I make really quick progress in order to be able then to be of benefit to all sentient beings, right? And you're not just making, you know, exclusively offerings to the Buddhas. It's also good to make offerings to living beings who need it. This is why he continues, you know. I've not performed actions for the teachings. I've not fulfilled the wishes of the poor. You know, again, we have so many opportunities to help, but either we're too lazy or we're not interested enough or, you know, all these kind of things. Or also, we have something in our culture that we learn when you give, you should give selflessly. You should not have a goal, isn't it? You should not give calculating. I mean, so stupid. But we shouldn't be calculating short term. We have to calculate long term. So let go of that thing. You should not give with a goal of. We give with the goal of attaining bodhicitta because why? We want to attain enlightenment because we want to be able to give people better things than money and food and medicine and stuff like that. We want to be able to give them the teachings in a way that they can take it and then they practice, like you got teachings from your gurus that made you practice. And then you will also attain enlightenment. The guru cannot give you enlightenment. What the guru is giving you, he knows how to touch you so that you do something. You know, the qualities of a Buddha's speech, everybody hears exactly what they need to hear. So when the Dalai Lama teaches, maybe he says the same things that I say, everybody is going like this and is very happy to hear it. When I say it, people get angry sometimes at what I say. So it's like, you know, so it's a bit like this. Yeah. So this is why we do as much as we can, gather positive, you know, positive things so we can fulfill that verse here. You remember? So all of this, you know, don't look at these verses individually. You have to see how they are connected. When he says, I haven't, okay, let's go a little bit more mild. And he says, I haven't created many excellences. So let me create them. And making an altar and making offerings to the Buddhas is really easy. Because you don't expect anything back anyway from the Buddha. You're not expecting the Buddha to appear in your dream and say, oh, thank you very much for filling these water bowls, right? But again, if you don't find it helpful, then of course, you know, then it's not relevant. So I have not granted fearlessness to the frightened. So if we have time and we can show somebody around when they're lost, or, you know, calm them down when they're lost, we do it, even if they're not paying us, because we're therapists. And I've not given happiness to the weak. All I have given rise to is the agonies of the mother's womb. This is sarcastic. He's just telling himself, you know. All I did is giving pain to my mom. Both now and in previous lives, such deprivation has arisen because of my lack of aspiring for the Dharma. Who would ever reject this aspiring for Dharma? So then the next verses, he talks about karma, especially this one, you know. Like enthusiasm comes spontaneously when we continuously think about the results or the fruit that we get from our practice. Then we are able to bear the hardships. Okay, does that make sense? More or less? Okay, so I'm not asking you as homework to go out and buy 7 bowls and Buddha statues and saffron water and incense and lights and all this. What I'm asking you maybe as homework, whenever you see something beautiful, you offer it to the Buddhas. You visualize all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and you think that, you know, that you're offering these, the chocolate, the flowers, the going swimming, the whatever. Yeah. And you're not offering it only to the Buddhas, but you also have a thought when you think, wow, this is really great. You go like, may all beings be able to find such things that create pleasures. You see, when we offer it to the sentient beings, we find it makes much more sense, isn't it? Like, it's also cultural. Like in Asia, collecting money for a statue is much easier than collecting money for a hospital. In the West, kind of fundraising for a hospital is much easier, or schools are very popular. Collecting money for schools is much easier than collecting money for a statue or for a stupa. Even though long-term, statues or stupas might be more beneficial. You know, this huge statue that Lama Zopa Rinpoche is building, one in Bodhgaya and one in Kushinagar? I was very much against this, because I said at the beginning of my practice, I said, oh, come on, you know, these are areas where people are poor, they need schools, they need hospitals, blah, blah, blah. Then I didn't know that around the statue would be schools and hospitals and all this. Now, the statue is not standing yet. They haven't even started, but there is a Maitreya school. There is a Maitreya hospital. So you see, I think Lama Zopa Rinpoche only kind of, so that he got money from both sides in a way to do all this. So because of the statue, the school kind of developed. How many of you have been to Bodhgaya? Okay, in Bodhgaya, there are many schools. It's a very poor area. There are many schools. There are many hospitals and clinics which are free for the poor. Why? Because the stupa is there. Because the Buddha attained enlightenment in that place. Yeah, pilgrims come there and they want to, you know, they want to offer something and they want to do something because they understand the benefit of generosity. So like this, but Buddhas are very powerful objects of karma, and we come to that next time when we explore, you know, again, the 4 aspects of karma, what are the powerful objects, and so on. We keep forgetting. And there's a lot of culture in this also, of course. Yeah. But yeah, for the Maitreya statue. So I thought, wow, I was very critical, you know, I thought it's crazy, you know, in this poor area to put this statue, which cost, I don't know how many thousands of millions. And Lama Össel, which is the reincarnation of Lama Yeshe, and then he was maybe 8 years old. And I was going from Kopan in Nepal, I was going to Bodhgaya. And he said, Anila, where are you going? So I said, I'm going to Bodhgaya. He said, oh, very good. When you get there, make an offering to the Maitreya project. And I thought, like, oh no, you know. And he said, offer 400 rupees. So I said, okay. So I did. And all of a sudden I was thinking, you know, then I was back in the West and for 2 months. And I was thinking, I was looking at young people in what bad state they were, many of them. And I was thinking, look, we have schools, we have hospitals. Still the people are not so well. So it's not that's not the only answer. Helping poor people, bringing them hospitals and schools. It's a good thing to do, but that's not the ultimate answer, I think. I have come to that now, to that idea. So every time we see a Buddha statue, it creates imprints on our subtle mind. And Mama Zopa Rinpoche says it creates a lot of merit just seeing Buddha statues. And he says, you know, he's so courageous to say, even you look at the Buddha statue with anger, it still creates a lot of merit because of the power of the object. So now for us, it's, do we trust this or not? This is, you know. But in order to have faith or to trust, you have to try it out. Okay, so I don't know, maybe next week I don't see you anymore because you go like, what kind of rubbish is she talking about? I can't stand this whole thing, this religious thing is fine, you know. So it's up to you.
Any news on your travels?
Yeah, no, I'm, you know, from my side, I said, thank you very much. I'm not traveling now. It's totally crazy, you know. I mean, in Switzerland, we have 30,000 new infections every day. I cannot make PCR tests for travel because they say we use it, which I think is really reasonable. We use it for the people who are sick, not for people who want to travel. And I think the less we travel, the less we move around, the less people we meet, the better at the moment. So we're not going to spread this whole thing. And, you know, rules are changing all the time in airports and all that. So I could now, because Israel is open, I could come, but I can't get a PCR test. And also I don't want to. I mean, you know, Buddhism is not just about, it's also about being reasonable and seeing what is possible. And we just continue with the Zoom and then we see. I will come at one point if I don't die before. But for the moment, yeah, we can it's nice. We can relax. We can let go of the travel for the moment. There's no more date, you know, in the future. So everything is okay. We can relax and we can continue with the Zoom. Okay, so that's that. And
you just said jokingly dying. And by the way, I've been meaning to ask, in one of your past classes, you said that when we were talking about the Tibetan Book of the Dead,
yeah,
you mentioned that there's a page and a half of a prayer that
yes,
that you would like people after you. Can you load that, upload it to the chat or that page and a half? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So I have to find it on my computer somewhere. So next time I'll make a note and then next time I'll upload it. It's instructions for the, well, there's two things. Actually, one is you can find it in the internet, I'm sure, very easily. It's the Sutra at the Time of Death, it's called. Okay. The Sutra at the Time of Death. If you can't find it, I'll upload it. But it's very easy to find on the internet.
Okay. I didn't know that is the name.
It's very short, that the Buddha is saying a Bodhisattva has to place his mind at the time of death that things do not exist from their own side. He has to place his mind on great compassion. May my death be of benefit to many beings, or may it not create suffering. And he has to place his mind in that enlightenment is inside, nowhere else to be found. So because dying is a very difficult process, I have seen it. Yeah, so it's not as easy as we think it could be. Then you forget. So if somebody is reading it to you, when you make yourself familiar with it while you are living, then the mind kind of then instinctively goes back to that. Oh yeah, emptiness, compassion, enlightenment. Okay, so that's the sutra.
Thank you.
Akashagarbha is asking the Buddha, where does a Bodhisattva place his mind at the time of death? And the sutra is called Sutra at the Time of Death. Okay. So we dedicate all the positive energy that we have created by discussing these things, especially how to create merit in an easy way, so that we all have enough positive potential, so that we do make progress in our spiritual practice, so that we are enthusiastic, that we can look at our own mistakes and laziness that we have, you know, without being discouraged, and that it puts some steam under our bum, and that we get going, and we spend our time with doing things that bring us closer to enlightenment and away from suffering very, very quickly, so that then we can guide all other sentient beings to that state. Okay? Please have a good week. And yeah, whenever you find an opportunity to practice generosity, either to the Buddhas or to sentient beings, do it consciously and think, I have created a cause for enlightenment. How wonderful. Okay? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
And sleep well and have a good rest. I see many of you are very tired. You poor things. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.